Let's get the read on that with Don Layfield and Brian Wesbury before we move on to other economic matters. If you think about it, John Layfield, this was a guy who lived the American story, as he liked to say. He graduated near the bottom of the class. He used to joke with us, I can't believe that there were 5 people who had worse grades than I did. But he made much of that and joked a lot about that, but obviously made a significant difference in this country.
He made a significant difference in this country. And you go back to when he was being held captive, his fellow prisoners would talk about how when John McCain would be taken down and get roughed up as he'd go back by and he's a lot of times handcuffed or tied, he'd give him the thumbs up as he'd walk by and he'd wink at them. And it encouraged those guys around him. I think America has so few true heroes. And I think John McCain was one of those. And whether you disagreed with him or whether you agreed with him, he did what he thought was best for the country when he was a senator, and that's all you can ask out of our politicians.
You know, Brian, I was remembering him because I know well you follow even banks and obviously stocks and everything else. He said, Neil, we have a lot of problems with capitalism. We have a lot of problems in this country. We have a lot of abuses on the part of politicians and titans and the rest, but I haven't found to work on play off that old line, a better system anywhere else. That was what really made him proud, that whatever our problems, we were still the best game in town.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, if you think about it, he took Goldwater's seat, and that capitalism supporting streak, he carried it with him, and that was good. The one thing I remember, and I don't mean to be a downer about this, but remember when he canceled his presidential campaign over the financial crisis, and that was a big turning point in that campaign. And I kind of wish he wouldn't have done that, because there were things that America could have done instead of use government to try and fix everything, and yet he kind of unfortunately he kind of made it appear like government had to save the world, when in reality government, in my opinion, was one of the big reasons we had that crisis.
You know, it's interesting you look back on that, John, and John, to Brian's point, I do remember at the time, and we've since learned in a number of books that have been written on the meltdown, and there he was, the Republican nominee in the middle of all of that, that he was against the TARP rescue. He was against the bank rescue, that he thought it was government gone amok, but he was being pressured to go along with it. The markets were pressuring him. You could make the argument that President Bush at the time was pressuring him. Everyone, Treasury Secretary Paulson, we have to do this or we're in trouble. And he grudgingly went along what he thought at the time would be good for the country. But in his gut, he didn't like it.
Yeah, and that's why you love him so much as a maverick. You know, he voted against the health care bill that was the president's talked about many times. That's what he believed. And when you elect a senator, a person to represent his state, you want him to go with those beliefs. As far as the bank bailout, I admire him for going along with his patriotism of what he thought was right for the country, even though he personally disagreed with that TARP bailout. You
know, Brian, to your point, though, he was pragmatic as well. I mean, he by and large, whatever his maverick tendencies, whatever the vote, the thumbs down famous vote that President Trump has always alluded to on the Republican rework of health care, he was a no vote on every health care legislation, every single one. So he was consistent in that regard. But he did mostly vote Republican. He did mostly vote for tax cuts. Not all of them, I should stress. Certainly not George Bush's first wave of them. But by and large, he was a reliable Republican vote. But he could surprise you.
Yeah, he could. And I mean, Arizona is a pretty Republican state, and he got reelected 6 times, which means he made a lot of Republicans happy. Not everything he did made them happy, but by and large, you're absolutely right. He supported that capitalist, free market, less government agenda, which I admire him for, and obviously for his heroism and his patriotism. I mean, he's an amazing man. There aren't many people that get laid in state, and he deserves it. I hope it helps his family deal with the loss.
Yeah, you were looking as you were speaking there, my friend, Cindy McCain. This is going to be a very tough remaining few days for her, shepherding this process, seeing this process through. She and her husband went through meticulously these plans and these arrangements to make sure that they were to his liking. He didn't want to be lionized in death. John McCain said, just remembered as a guy who tried to do the right thing, didn't always get it done in the way he should, but he tried, and it was a patriot. Meghan McCain, his daughter, and other family members will be there throughout this process. John Layfield, as we watch this, and the idea of a maverick is someone who reaches across the other side and probably ends up ticking off both sides, but it is a way to get things done, right? I'm not going to get everything I want. You're not going to get everything you want. I guess John McCain's view was, we have a big old national inbox here. We might as well get something done, right?
That's right, and that was a great hallmark of John McCain. You talk about John McCain where he's being buried at the Naval Academy instead of National Cemetery in Arlington. General Patton did the same thing. He wanted to be buried among his soldiers. They later moved it because so many people came to visit his grave. But it shows you the humanity of John McCain, that he was just a regular guy. He tried to clean up boxing back in the 80s. I wish he could have had a better chance of it. If he'd had the Democratic help, he probably could have done it.